everybody, it's me, Laura, and today we're going to do my Christmas project, the Poinsettia Christmas Ball. And oh, I love this thing, I really do. I want to sit down and make a whole bunch more. I can't help myself. Anyways, we're going to start out with a prepared, or I should say a prepped Christmas ball. This is a flattened version. And what I did there is I used some metallic acrylic paint. I poured it inside. I used a little bit of water, kind of watered it down a little bit, and then I let it dry. And this thing had to dry for about a day or so. I don't know why it took so long, and I'm in an arid climate, so just an FYI on that. Anyways, I'm bringing in my Teco cutters, and these are my circle ones, and I'm trying to figure out which one worked, and I want to say I think it was the fourth one that worked the best. And so what you're going to do is you're going to roll out your white clay here, and this was rolled out on either a number 4 setting on my Atlas pasta machine or a number 6. And I'm cutting out 2 pieces. I'm going to bring one up, and once that paint is dried like it is right here, I'm going to take one of those little circular discs and I'm going to place this right in the center of my Christmas ball. I'm going to make sure it's adhered down really, really well. And then I'm going to go ahead and move the other one off to the side. And then once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my red clay, and I'm going to start to create some of my poinsettia just like I showed you guys from last week. So if you don't know how to do my poinsettia flower, go ahead and check out that particular video on the poinsettia flower and go ahead and make a few of these. I want to say the more detailed version of this particular flower. And I want to say it was like 6 of these petals. Once I made 6 of these petals, I'm going to go ahead and make 3 more, and I'm going to do I want to say the very simple version of the poinsettia flower and make 3 petals of that, and we'll put it all together. All right, so here I'm bringing in my green and my pink, and I decided I wanted to go ahead and do a stack, and I rolled both of these out on a number 1 setting on my Atlas pasta machine. Right here, of course, I'm ripping up the clay that I don't want and tearing it apart so I can use it for other projects later. But once I have that done and I have a nice square, we'll go ahead and of course we'll cut this in half, and then the rectangular piece that you do get after you stack it on top, we're going to go ahead and cut that yet again, and this way then I'll have 8 layers of pink, green, pink, green. We'll then go ahead, cut a slice of this, and then I'll take that, I'll run that through my Atlas pasta machine on a number 1 setting, and then I step it down from a number 1 down to a number 3 on the Atlas pasta machine. You could go to a 4 too. I like 3 and 4. They're both fun for me. Anyways, once I do that, I'll take that and I'll lay that down on my surface once I have that all thinned out the way I like it, and I'll cut the rough edge off. I'll then start to cut off checker from this striped piece. Okay, now that I'm going to start cutting this checker, we're going to build up just a line of it, and once I get a little bit of a line going, I'm going to take that checker and I'm going to place that around the white edge on my Christmas ball. So as you can tell here, I've got a single piece of this checker and I'm going to take the next piece and I'm building it around. Now, if you can get a nice line and put it all up at once, that's great. If not, go ahead and put each piece on singly around this particular white piece of clay. Now that I have my checker placed all the way around my flattened piece of white clay, I'm going to start to bring in my poinsettia petals. And each of these petals, they're fairly large. I mean, this Christmas ball is, it's about, what, maybe 2 to 3 inch, flattened Christmas ball on the side there. And so these petals are fairly large. And right here, I'm taking it and creating like a point on it. Part of this is because I want to get as much of that petal to show as possible, because we're going to place 6 of these all the way around with that point also towards the center. And if you're really particular about trying to figure out where center is, I suggest possibly using a piece of paper, a little bit of a hard cardstock possibly, and use your compass. You can take your cutter like you did here, make just a paper cutout of that particular circle, and then figure out where center is using your compass and folding it in half. That way then, if you really want to know where it is, you'll be able to find it. Now here, of course, I'm just kind of figuring it out just as I go. It really depends upon what you want to do. I like to kind of play with it. To me, it's fun that way. So right here, I've got my poinsettia flower all laid out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in some smaller red balls. And these things measured out to be about 3/8 of an inch in diameter. And we're going to create simpler poinsettia flowers, or I should say poinsettia petals. So if you want to go and check out the other video I had done last week on the poinsettia, the simple petal is what I'm going to be dealing with here. I thought at the time I would be needing all 6 of them. But as soon as I started laying them down, I realized I don't want to have, I didn't want my more detailed poinsettia petals on the bottom be eclipsed by the simpler version on top. I wanted them to really shine. So to me, it just seemed better if I went ahead and I placed them. You see here, I thought, oh, that's nice. And if you want to do that, go ahead, by all means, try it. But I really liked the idea of giving a little bit of space and letting that, letting those more detailed petals shine through. So I just kind of adjusted them a little bit, put that other simpler petal on top, and the more I placed that around like that, I loved it. I think it just looked so much better. Now, I just want to mention that when I place these simpler petals on top, they are really humped over the more flattened version of the detailed part underneath. And I really liked that. It really gave it more of a 3-dimension when I was putting this poinsettia together. Now, once I have this done, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my yellow. I should have like wiped my hands off because you can see the red came right off on the yellow. I should have had my baby wipes there. But that's okay. You just mix it into the yellow. What can I say? I cheat a little bit. So start putting some little yellow balls right in the center there. And then I'm going to take my little knitting needle and I'll go ahead and make a little indent in each of those little balls. Okay, at this point, I was really getting pretty excited about how this particular project was coming together. I loved how that poinsettia came out. It was wonderful. Again, I went back though to my green and pink little, stack, and I flattened it out again on a number 3 or 4 setting. Once I had that, I went ahead and created another line of checker. Now, I did this because I thought, let's go ahead and doctor up the edge of this Christmas ball. It really seemed like a great thing to do. In doing so though, and this is just kind of like hindsight here, this is not baked at this point. And, because I was able to, hold on to it from the very top there, I'm thinking, yeah, that worked. But if you want to save yourself a little bit of hassle, you could go ahead and bake the top part right away. Bake that and then, do that at 275 for about 7 to 10 minutes and then come back in and glue it back in, because really at the end of this particular segment, I had baked both the side checker that's going around the center part of this Christmas ball and the top part all in one shot. I decided to do it all at once and then glue it all in. Now that I'm looking at it, it's like, it could be a little bit of a hassle. So go ahead and bake the top part, glue it, and then bake the center checker all the way around the center, bake that and then glue it. And then this way, then you can move on to the last part of the Christmas ball. Now you see here, I really did bring in my blade or I should say my tissue blade, just to lift off that piece, and it baked perfectly fine on there, including with the little checker all the way around. I'm going in and I'm now placing in my super glue to make sure I adhere it down onto the Christmas ball. Now this gets a little bit tricky. And, I guess if you really want to make sure, you could always use E6000, because E6000 gives you a little more time to adjust the piece on top there. And you might want to just do that anyway. Mind you, it's going to have to go back in the oven because we still have to do the back side, but it might be a good idea. This all being said, I did have to go ahead and glue in that, little line of checker running around the Christmas ball too. So keep that in mind. It might wind up being 2 bakings before you move on to the back side of this Christmas ball. Okay, so now that we're on to the back side of the Christmas ball, we're going to bring in, and mind you, I'm taking off a little bit of that extra super glue as I try to glue down that edge. I really love Kleenex in this regard because it will just pick up any excess I have. But once I have that done, I'm going to lay down that flattened other disc of white polymer clay. I'm going to also create that checker one more time, and then we're going to go ahead and create the smaller poinsettias. All right, I want to go ahead and I have to ask this. Okay, is it poinsettia or poinsettia? I know you all are like, what? Because I've been flipping back and forth and I just can't seem to make up my mind. So somebody tell me out there, is it poinsettia or poinsettia? This way then I can tell. So option one or option two. All right, so I'm bringing in my red clay now, and I'm again using that cutter that I had shown you last week on my Poinsettia video. So right here, I cut out like 3 of them. I decided I went with 2 though in the end, and just created that small little line with, again, that handmade little pin that I had created last time. So you could tell right there, yeah, the bigger one is not going to work. I'm using a pin or even a small needle in that little handmade tool I had done. And we're just going to make those little lines in the poinsettia flower. And I'm going to place this in, and then I'm going to start adding in my green leaves and my green vine work. Now that I've created those smaller poinsettias, I went ahead and I used my knitting needle, and I kind of created like a little tiny divot in the center. Part of this is so I could kind of give them a little bit of a 3-dimensional look when I placed them down on this Christmas ball. They were pretty flat. I mean, you're dealing with a flat piece of clay here. And yeah, again, just as a reference, this was done on a number 3/4 setting when it came to cutting out that clay, that red clay, to create these little poinsettias. So I'm bringing in, again, my green, and I'm going to start placing in my leaves. And again, like I said, I'm also going to be bringing in some green vine work. When I do that, I decided, I almost kind of thought the back side of this particular Christmas ball might be a little bit busy. I really did. I added in some red berries on the vine work, and okay, call me a you know, an awful critic of my own work, but I look at this and I'm like, okay, is it too busy or is it not? And in my mind, it seemed a little busy. So I could have probably taken out less vines and that sort of thing to make it not quite so busy. But there you go. And once I had the vine work in and the leaves in, I then, like I said, I added in some little red berries. I indented them with my knitting needles, and then we're going to start to finish up by using a little bit of that yellow as well, because I have to put in my centers on my little Christmas flowers. And I just kind of used my knitting needle to just kind of like make little indents on that center part. Not anything great. And I didn't put in any rhinestones on the center part. You could do that. That's up to you. I just decided to leave them plain because I thought I had enough going with the berries here with the red that I thought, okay, that's enough. Now, once I have all of this put together, I'm then going to place that back in the oven, 275 to 300, depending upon what kind of clay you're using. I usually just stick with the 275 because I mix my clays, and then I bake that for about 7 to 10 minutes. All right, now that my Christmas ball has been thoroughly baked, again, I'm using my either a needle tool like I did right here, or even my tissue blade to help lift up off this particular piece. Now, sometimes you're not gonna always get it all off in one piece. That's why I was doing this really, really careful. But again, I added then in my super glue, but you might, like I said, use the E6000 because you can move that around a little bit then. And then place it back on. And then I went in, brought my rhinestones, filled in the little indented berry areas, and then added my little hanger back into the top of my Christmas ball. So here I took a little bit of video of me putting up my first ornament for the season, which is this one. I thought, yeah, might as well do it, yay! So I had my Christmas trees up, they had their garland and their greenery, but this was my first ornament to place on the tree itself. And so that's what I did here. I thought you guys would just enjoy how this looks. So this is the results of creating my poinsettia Christmas ball, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please use this for study and reference. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'm always wondering what you're thinking. Otherwise, I am sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.